dramatic rescue took place at a hospital. The backup generators there also failed. Tiny babies rushed out, oxygen pumped by hand. And our David Muir was there overnight into the early morning hours. David.
We're still here tonight, Diane. NYU Medical Center is the hospital in question, and I wanted to show you right here behind me. If you look up at the hospital, you can see it's still pitch black after those generators failed a little less than 24 hours ago. It was at that moment the respirators went down, the elevators jammed, and as you mentioned, Diane, when it came to the newborns, they turned to CPR bags to actually pump the air in themselves, those tiny little lungs, to keep the babies alive.
When we arrived, all you could see was the outline of the hospital against a darkened sky. A lone flashlight up in one of the hospital rooms there as doctors and nurses rushed from patient to patient. Out front, ambulances, these images from my iPhone as we approached the hospital. Just one of the nearly 300 patients who were one by one brought out and taken to safety. From the sky, the ambulances lined up around the block from all over the city. And we're learning more tonight about the moment the lights went out, the moment those critical machines, the respirators, stopped. This young doctor was right there.
Making sure the patients on ventilators were safe.
The babies.
Babies, yeah.
Their first concern, the babies in intensive care, 20 of them. This nurse, clutching a newborn wrapped in a blanket, holding one of those plastic bags. She was doing the work of the respirator herself. In fact, all of the nurses in that unit were doing what's called bagging the air, literally squeezing bags of air into those tiny little lungs, cradling the babies and carrying them 9 floors down. Another baby rushed out, dwarfed by the size of the gurney. Once outside, the bag replaced with oxygen brought in by the paramedics. An entire team surrounding one baby. In fact, a hospital source telling me tonight that's what they did the moment the power was cut off, dividing up into teams, surrounding one patient at a time, carefully bringing them down a darkened stairwell, carrying them on plastic sleds rushed in by the paramedics, flashlights, all they had to see their way.
So there was literally a bunch of people who would just go with each patient, carry them down the stairs physically.
They were pulled out on that sled, sliding along the hospital floor. One by one, we watched, still evacuating long after the sun came up.
It's now 10 a.m. in the morning, and you can see there's still a line of ambulances all the way up the street here. This operation's been going on for 12 hours now. You can see them lining up still at the front entrance of the hospital here as they carefully bring the patients down.
And late today, 15 hours after those evacuations began, they were done. And the president had learned of those heroic nurses and those newborns.
During the darkness of the storm, I think we also saw what's brightest in America. Nurses at NYU Hospital carrying fragile newborns to safety.
We know that more than a half dozen area hospitals took all of the patients from this one hospital alone, Diane. And one more extraordinary note tonight, we learned that at least 4 of the women who left this hospital were in labor, and at last check, 2 of them have given birth. Remarkable that at this hour it appears that everyone taken from this hospital, Diane, is okay tonight.